Okay, this is the review for CTS 1390, 1391C, the midterm review. My NAT's already set up. I'm going to start with the DC. I'm going to do everything graphically, not in PowerShell. On the day of the test, I probably am going to change the subnet address, and you might have to use different IP addresses. Just to, if you don't know what you're doing, you just can't make recipe books and just follow along clicking, not knowing what you're doing. So as soon as I do something like that, it'll throw people for a loop. If they don't know what they're doing, it'll show. This is going to be VM1, no, VM2, and that is VM1. I'm going to do one service at a time. I have to wait till this bar stops at the bottom. I'm going to install Active Directory and Dhcp. I'm going to check restart. After I promote it, it will restart. keeping my NAT. I'm using this diagram. I'm trying to collapse the machines. Okay, so I'm going to promote this to a DC. I'm going to create a new forest. Everyone needs to create Contoso because our answer files for our WDS will work for Contoso. You will not be able to use this video on the day of the test.
Are we allowed to search for information?
You can search for information, but no videos.
No handwritten notes?
Handwritten notes are good. Your book is fine. Just no, I don't want you to just mimic a video.
So delete everything except map.
Right.
Can I keep my map for the?
We'll wipe it out for the test because we're going to create a script.
So we're going to script that, but everything else goes up.
No, we're going to script building all the machines. You'll have to configure all of them, including the NAT. But for this video, I'm going to skip the NAT. You know, if I have you leave the NAT, and I'm not positive it's set up right, or you know, and also I'm going to have you change IPs. So at that point, the old NAT won't work. Okay, now I can type in my password for the Active Directory restore. That's a normal error. We put in our 2 upstream DNS servers. We don't have authority to create anything on there. So if you don't get this error, you have a problem. It's going to create the DNS on this machine. The DNS namespace for Contoso.com. There's my NetBIOS domain name. Location of my files and my database. Guys, notice that I didn't authorize my DHCP or do anything with my DHCP until after Active Directory is up and running. I've installed DHCP, but I didn't choose to do this yet. Wait until Active Directory is up and running.
What happens if you don't?
Your DHCP server won't be authorized, and at that point, it won't pass out IP addresses. You only have to authorize in Active Directory. If you have no Active Directory, it won't even attempt to authorize. So we're going to begin the installation of Active Directory. When I installed it, I took the box to reboot, so this should reboot at the end.
How much memory you putting in each machine? 2048?
No, I just left the default. Check the box.
Will the script install the rules, or do we need to install the rules for the test?
You're going to install the rules. Only because I don't want to sit there and spend all weekend writing the script. Guys, if you want to write a script to install the roles while they're VHDs, you're more than welcome to. You can do that over the weekend. You know, we covered that last class. That shouldn't be that difficult. You just have to plug in the name of the server. I'm going to try to stick to these names that I have here. So if you want to write these down, those are the names of the hard disk as well. stuck to those names for the hard disk. So if you want to take a picture of that, and if you remember the script from last semester where we installed something with install -Windows features and we did it to a VHD, shut all the virtual machines down, run that script. You know the location of where they're going to be stored. How much PowerShell did you use with Veron? Okay.
Using the 172.16.0.16.
/16.
I'm trying to patch up as quick as I can. I already figured before. I included all my other again.
Yeah, I'm not worried if people are keep up with me. The fact that I'm doing it graphically might allow you to keep up with me, but I'm going to try to stay on target,
You're doing everything GUI?
just so we can make a good video.
Beforehand class, I was telling him about doing everything PowerShell told me I stop.
Why?
He said that the certification exam, some of those questions you won't see if you do it with PowerShell, but they probably do it. Something like that. I don't know the exact word.
Yeah, but Ray took that test, and so
He told me it's like half and half. Like, don't do everything with PowerShell. And
Right.
do some PowerShell, some GUI.
but it does make your life a lot easier.
PowerShell?
Yeah.
So far, you just did the DC1.
Right.
So, okay.
Is there anything that is not possible to do with PowerShell?
Not that I know of. There's things you can do in PowerShell you can't do graphically.
Right.
Yeah, Microsoft is betting heavily on PowerShell. The fact that they ported it over to Linux box and desired state configuration is getting popular, for security reasons. Desired state configuration, you set the state of the computer, and if it deviates from that state, the script will put it back to the way it was. You apply a script to a machine and it's not even configured, it'll configure it for you. So the first thing I'm going to do after my DC is up and running is create my reverse. Again, I'm going to do this graphically. You're more than welcome to use the PowerShell command to do them all at one time. Gonna launch my DNS utility. Create a new zone. 172.16. There's my zone. I'm going to create a record for myself. Verify dynamic DNS works. Register DNS Client. Refresh. There it is. Created my pointer record. So that's good. Now I'm going to authorize my DHCP server with my domain credentials. I'm also going to create two groups. DHCP administrators, DHCP users. Administrators can make changes to the DHCP server. DHCP users can just view the DHCP server, the settings. Now I'm going to configure DHCP. Guys, if you don't get a green checkbox once you're done, you have to authorize your server because you skipped that step. So you can manually do it if you need to. So I'm going to do an IPv4 scope. I'm going to call it private network. Put in the subnet address for the description. 172.16.0.1, putting the full subnet. I'm going to hold back the first 16 for future growth. First 10 rather. No delay. 8-day. I'm going to do my gateway. And my DNS is already populated. Still don't use a Win server. I'm going to activate the scope. Guys, it always has that blue, just hit refresh. If you don't get green, there's something wrong. Come back and visit this. We are going to come back and visit this when we set up our 060 option for our WDS. So I'm going to go to the next machine. WDS, WSUS. IP, hostname, and join at the same time. This is going to be VM3, station number 01, VM3, and join the domain. If you can't join the domain, your DNS settings are wrong. You don't have connectivity. Most likely you don't have, your DNS is wrong. can verify my settings took by going to local server. There they are. So I'm going to screw up here by not signing in as the right user. Make sure you sign in as the domain user. When you're DC, you have no choice. You have no local users. But on your other 3 machines, make sure you sign in as the domain user. We're going to create that join domain user account.
Is it with com or net?
Com. Wait till this bar stops before I can install anything. WDS, Wsus. We're just going to use the built-in database. I'm going to put my updates on C updates. Guys, on real life, you should put this not on your system disk. But for right now, I'm just doing that. You should have a second hard disk where you download and store your updates. Other than that, I'm not making any changes. Guys, while that's going on, I'm going to create a VPN, not connect to it just yet. This is so I can connect to an update server. 10, 13, 103, 175. You won't have to do this on the test. I just want to do this so the video is complete. Also, while we're waiting, I'm going to connect to Juilliard so I can grab a couple of answer files. Just gonna put them on my desktop for now. So I have my VPN set up. I have my WDS answer files ready. The next thing I'm going to do while that's installing, I'm going to inject my DVD of Windows 10 so I can do so I can copy the install WIM and the boot WIM. So I'm going to go to SCSI controller, DVD, add an image file. No, actually, I don't. All I need to do is just attach it. I don't really need to copy the images off because I already have answer files. My answer files are for Windows 10. Okay, I'm going to launch this later. I'm going to first set up my WDS. Tools, Windows Deployment Services. Configure server, integrated into Active Directory, the remote install. I'm going to respond to all clients. Guys, we have to check this box once we get inside. If you check it now, it just gets unchecked. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to add my servers now, or images now. Point to my DVD drive. Image group 1. Let it add the images. It's going to add the boot WIM and the install WIM. The install WIM file has only one image in it. If this was the server disk, the install WIM would have 4 images in it. Okay, it imported both images. There's my Windows 10 image. And there's my boot image. Now I'm going to create a capture image from this. Create capture image.
And that's from the boot images, right?
Right, that's under boot images. Guys, you click on browse, it doesn't exist. Still type capture.wim. And click open. Even though it doesn't exist, it'll create it. Don't be very quick to click OK at the end of this. We want to check that box to import this image. Guys, while I'm doing this, I want to show you my answer file on my desktop.
Thank you.
I'm going to edit it with Notepad++ to show you something. We're going to create a separate account, and I thought these had joint domain in. It doesn't. I'm going to change this to be join domain. So we'll create that join domain account. So when it joins the domain, it'll do it as join domain, user account, which we'll create. First answer file, I'm going to edit that, and join domain's already there. This is the user account that's going to be used to access the WDS and gain access to the share to download the image. Okay, while that's going on, I'm also going to go I'm going to create the join domain account. So I'm going to go back to my DC. I'm going to go back into Active Directory users and computers. Create a new user called join domain. Join domain all in lowercase. Set my password. If you really want to be secure, configure your security policy so that machine can only sign into the WDS. So that user account can only sign into the WDS. Also on here, I'm going to click on View, Advanced Features. I need to allow join domain the ability to add computers to this container. So I'm going to right click, Delegate Control. This is that trick that Chris discovered. Next. Join domain. We're going to create custom task for computer objects. For computer objects, write out properties. Finish. Then I'm going to right click, go to properties, security tab, give that user read, write, everything but full control. We're also going to edit our default domain policy to allow that computer to add computers to the domain. Make sure you grab the default domain policy and not the default domain controller policy. I'm going to add join domain. It's already linked to an OU, so it's good. While I'm over here also, I want to create the 060 option. I highlight IPv4. It's tricky where to find that. Remember, it's IPv4, set predefined options. We're going to add 060, and that's a string. And it's going to be, nope, the code is 060. The string is Pixie Client. Okay. The string value is going to be, I'm going to just click OK right here. I'll show you why. So I'm going to go to my scope, options, right click, configure options. I'm going to choose 060. Pixie Client, and add 172.16.0.3. That's going to be the IP of my WDS server. Click OK. Now I can go back to my WDS. Still creating my image. This takes a seemingly long time in 2016. I don't remember it taking this long in 2012. While that's going on, guys, I'm going to go over to my C drive. I'm going to right click on my remote install folder. I'm going to give joint domain the ability to modify this share. Under security settings, edit, add, join domain, give modify. Also, as a precaution, I'm going to make join domain a local admin. So if you didn't do this step right here, you made him a local admin, it would still work because local admins have full rights. But just for the sake of this video, I want to show both methods. So that worked. So I'm going to right click here, go to computer management. Again, I'm signed in as a domain admin. So I can modify all this stuff. I'm going to add to our local admins group, join domain here as well. still waiting on this. So I added joint domain. I granted him rights to the computer container and Active Directory users and computers. I granted joint domain rights to the remote install share. And I made joint domain a local admin on the WDS. Okay, let's let this do its thing, take a little break. I can't pause the video, sorry guys.
That's it? That's it. Those three? He has what? He has an associate. And an NCP, like the first level of Microsoft. Oh no, that was the NCP. Okay. NCP's like the second one.
What's his degree in?
I think he has like an associate. Arts? No, he has an AS. But to be a network admin, I need to see the CCNA somewhere at least.
At least Network Plus or
Someone
something.
Network Plus,
Yeah.
come on.
I would expect to be a network admin. You need at least like minimum Network
Yeah,
Plus.
sell
Yeah,
yourself,
I'm
man.
I only got one.
No, I don't.
I thought about it. I actually before was mostly I just do like you ever heard Sonic War? You know, I do like once we're through Active Directory, stop logging, and set up. So construction company. It's not small, but I think they built.
Well, at least you in.
Yeah.
You in the door. So you
First day, I had a full show.
But how did you get past the interviews with no experience? Did you know somebody?
Yeah, I knew the director.
Alright.
It was, yeah, I know it's about 2 years. Yeah, exactly. I'm not lucky that you
I'm not just studying this shit.
Go to the bar. Go to happy hour. Go mingle.
Learn some magic tricks and just go to a tech conference.
You know what? They have you in lunchroom.
You seem like a good guy.
You're a funny guy.
Somehow that translates to around this.
Just learn everything in 2 years. I don't.
too much experience. I need that 44.
Hey man. Hey man. Years of service. Couldn't imagine that with you.
This should be just like, I ain't gonna lie. As soon as I saw it, I'm sorry, your loan's gonna have to wait. I got one like, I think I'm gonna have a security plus. Well, no, I'm not done yet. I'm gonna start.
Studying for it, huh?
What, CCNA?
No, it's security course.
Oh, the security plus, yeah, I'm studying for it now.
But then you have to look on the end of the class.
Yeah.
I thought with her class, she factored into your grade.
No, she doesn't. That's not part of your grade. It might be somebody else.
Yeah.
Part of the final.
Who you have to?
Yeah, Sherry. Me?
Who you got?
JC.
I'm sure it's something like this.
Don't take Sherry.
No?
It's easy, but it ain't gonna prepare you for the exam. Why do you think I haven't taken it yet?
Who is it?
I don't think there's one. Oh, Victor.
Victor is good though.
He teaches me.
Oh, shit.
Put an audio in. Why you say that, Mike? Nah, sure, cool.
Sherry still got DOD ties.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's easy to laugh, but I don't feel prepared for it. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Really? I'm doing okay. A good transition. Yeah. Are you still sending stuff? You still sending stuff? Are you doing the same stuff?
They was doing the same thing. Servers, or whatever. Security saying online, but shit wrong. Everything is logical. Everything is scenario based.
Yeah.
All exams.
That's the best answer.
I just sent it like yesterday.
Whole fucking paragraph.
These two are right. This one's 1% better than this one.
And then if you don't get two paragraph question, you miss one detail like that.
You gonna take it?
Okay, guys, the capture image was created. I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it to the WDS. I checked that box. Yes. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting is I'm going to put my answer files in the remote install folder. Guys, I only need the first one there, but I just like to keep them both there. Copy them. Paste them in the remote install. My image is done. Now I'm going to add my image files to my answer files to WDS and configure some additional settings while I'm here. Pixie response, remember I told you it's unchecked? Just check it. We don't have to do anything under general. Pixie response, check the box. Nothing under ADDS. Boot, we're going to use the default boot image. Guys, it should, if you don't do any interaction with the client during the boot process, it should automatically boot to the boot image, not the capture image. Under client, we're going to add an Unattended answer file. This is going to be x64 UEFI system. So we're going to scroll, grab the first answer file. We don't have to do anything for any other tab. All the defaults. So the first answer file is used during the boot process. The second answer file is going to be attached to this image, the Windows 10 image. So we're going to go right click it, go to properties, and add the second unattended answer file. This one can be stored in any location. And our WDS is done. I hope I left my VPN server up. I'm going to try to connect to the VPN. I'm going to sign in with the user account. Okay, I'm connected. I'm going to launch the post installation task for WSUS. Guys, this crashes all the time. What happens if it crashes? Just go to Tools and launch the utility manually. Where do we want to store our updates? It's already there, because we did that from the installation wizard. When he did this, he didn't even put in our update server. He went directly to the internet and it worked, so I'm going to try that. Guys, I'm not going to ask you to do this. I'm only going to do this for the sake of the utility, for this video rather. I just want you to install it and create the group policy, which I'll do here too. But just for this video, I want it to be complete. Because if I put a video out on the internet, you can't believe, and I leave something like this out, I will get flamed for weeks over this video. Well, why do you configure the WSUS? Okay, guys, this is going to take a few minutes to set up. So I'm going to go to my DC and set up my group policy for WSUS. Open. I have my group policy manager open already. I'm going to create a new group policy called Windows Updates. I'm going to edit it. Okay, and the path is computer configuration policies, administrative templates, Windows components, Windows update, and the two that you need to configure at least is configure automatic updates and the one below it. So I'm going to click on this one first. We want to enable this. We want to auto download and schedule to install every day at 3 a.m. The next one we want to do is which server do you want them to connect to? In our case, it's going to be CS01 VM3:8530. Remember, the example doesn't show the port number. You have to put the port number. That's a colon, not a semicolon. If you wanted to put the fully qualified domain name there, that would work, or the IP would work. you know, so those are the only two settings you have to configure. Some of these are optional, and you should configure them, but it won't work without those two. So now I'm going to link that group policy to my domain. In a little bit, all my machines in my domain will get that policy. I'm going to go back to the Wsus. That's still going on. So while this is working out, I'm going to start on DFS route 1. Like normal IP hosting. I'm going to rename and join it to the domain at the same time. While this is rebooting, I'm going to go to the other machine and do the same thing. I'm going to go back to the first machine that I didn't hit close for. I'm going to reboot. I'm going to install DFS namespace and replication. I'm going to sign back into DFS2. Guys, and I screwed up. On DFS1, I signed in as the wrong user. Guys, make sure you sign in as the domain admin. I'm going to do that for DFS1 too. So on both machines, I'm going to install DFS namespace and replication. Someone, if you're not following along, we'll see if you with this if OBS if there's any way to pause. Because if there is, I'm going to have them install that on all the instructor stations. I also asked them to buy me good cameras that follow me that I can put on my hip, so when I leave the front desk, my voice stays recording. While this is logging in, I'm going to check on my WSUS. It's ready to go, so I'm going to click close. Now my widget launches. I'm going to click next. Leave the default. I'm just going to leave the default for this, see if this worked. It worked for him. I'm going to click Start Connecting and come back to this. Just to manage both machines at the same time, I'm going to go Manage, Add Servers, and I'm going to add 5 to 4, so I don't keep having to jump back and forth. So from VM4, I'm going to be able to control VM4 and 5. File and storage services, file and iSCSI services, DFS namespace, and DFS replication. Restart if necessary. I'm going to check out my WSUS. Still going. I'm back on my DFS root 1 share 1. I'm going to go through the wizard again and install DFS namespace and replication on VM5. Just poured coffee down in front of me.
Did you say we created scope?
We created a DHCP scope. Otherwise, clients won't be able to connect to our WDS server if we didn't have DHCP. Okay, I have DFS installed on both machines. Going to go to Tools, DFS Management. First step is I'm going to add a new namespace. I'm going to use this server for the first namespace, for the first server that's going to hold this namespace. I'm going to have two servers hold the namespace. I'm going to call it data, and it's going to be domain based. If you get an error, you don't have DFS namespace installed on this machine. Next thing I'm going to do is highlight the namespace and add another name server. A second copy of the namespace. And I'm going to use VM5. Click OK. If you get an error, you didn't add DFS namespace to that server. Now I have two servers hosting this namespace. I'm going to go back to my namespace, right click, I'm going to create a new folder. When someone clicks on this folder, they're going to be sent to one of two targets. I'm going to call it Profiles. Do not click OK until you've added both targets. One target will be in VM4 and one target will be in VM5. This is wrong, guys. CS01 VM4 Profiles. It doesn't exist. This wizard will create it. Ntfs path, shares, profiles. I'm going to turn off share permissions rather. No share permissions, everyone full. I'll secure with Ntfs permissions. Add the second server. Doesn't exist? Create it for me. Create the local path for that share. Local to that machine. Again, no share permissions. Click OK. It'll launch the Replication Wizard. Only thing you have to do is choose which is primary. In this particular case, they're both empty, so it doesn't matter. If you have an error at this stage, you've missed installing DFS replication on one of those two machines. Okay, I'm going to add another folder. That's for roaming profiles. This is going to be for folder redirection. I'm just going to call it redirect. Try to be consistent in your names. One copy will be on VM4. One copy will be on VM5. We're going to create the local folder. Turn off share permissions. Do it again for VM5. Create replication between the two file shares. Okay. The only thing left for us to do now is to fix the Ntfs permissions. Replications will replicate those permissions over. Because I've added both machines to this server manager on VM4, I can just use this utility to access those shares. So for profiles, I'm going to get rid of users and add domain users. And give them modify rights. I did this on VM4. They'll get replicated over to the copy on VM5. I'm going to do the same thing for redirect. Remove users. Then I'm going to add domain users. I didn't even hear what song it was. Again, give them modify rights. Now that's going to get replicated down in a few minutes. So guys, let's create 3 user accounts and give them roaming profiles. My Wsus is still going, so I'm going to go back to my DC.
That part we won't be configured for the test.
Right. So I'm going to go into Active Directory users and computers. Under the user container, I'm going to create 3 users. User 1, U1. User 2, U2. And user 3. I'm going to select all 3 items and configure them for roaming profile. When I select all 3, when I right click and go to properties, I'll have a subset of the tabs, not all of them. It'll only show me the tabs that I can change multiple items on, for multiple user accounts rather. So I'm going to go to the profile tab, and I'm going to do // my namespace. Under that, profiles. Under that, %, user, name, %. So when I click OK and go back into any one user account, it will replace that environmental variable with that user account name. Roaming profiles are done. Sign on to test. Guys, let's do folder redirection. Group policy management. That's a DHCP server. Okay, group policy management. Create a new group policy. Folder redirection. Going to customize it. This is going to be a user policy. So I'm going to redirect, just for this lab, desktop. Just doing basic and put in the path of my DFS namespace. Data, redirect, and it will automatically add the user account name for me. I'm going to copy this because everything's going under that same user folder for each folder I redirect out of their profile. I don't need to change anything in settings about who can control it, what happens to the data when they join this policy and when they leave this policy. Click OK. Yes. I'll do it for documents. Do it to all the big folders. Just paste in my path. And let's just do it for their links and the roaming data, roaming app data. Keep clicking on the wrong tab. Okay, close the policy out. Link it to the domain. If I look at it, the permission by default is authenticated users. So anyone who signs in will get this policy. Okay. So roaming profiles, DFS, folder redirection, done. The only thing left is to finish up this wizard for Wsus. Okay, guys, we're going to take another break. Give us a few minutes. If it doesn't, I'm going to stop the video here. You won't have to do this for the test because it does take a long time. What I did in about an hour will take you 3 hours. So I know I made it look easy right here because I had no issues. If you have issues, you're going to have to back out and try to figure it out. I'm going to stop right now. Look, it went through while I was talking. Click next. Okay, guys, so I'm only going to do it for for English. I'm not going to do it for all products, just to make this small. I'm going to do it for Windows Server 2016. I don't want a lot of updates. Click next. Whatever classifications you specify, you can choose here. I would download them all, but I wouldn't necessarily push them all out. But we'll say that and that. Sync automatically. I'm going to leave it at 2:30 p.m. because it's already past that time. And I'm not going to begin this initial synchronization. Next. Finish. I already have my policy in place. So that VLAN I put that VPN in works well. I mean, I didn't have any issues with this WSUS. I wish I'd known that before. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here, guys. The only other thing I'm going to configure in WSUS, just to have a part of the video, is under Options, I'm going to configure this automatic approval. So we're going to automatically approve. I'm going to change the verbiage. Service pack, rolling updates. I should have gotten definitions. I should have checked that. But whatever you select, I'm going to check it, and then I can run that rule right now. But every time it syncs, it'll automatically run this rule, pre-approve them. I don't have any to approve. I don't want, it'll take too long to get any. So right now I have none to show you. Unapproved, refresh, I have none. So that's fine. Okay, guys, that's it for this video. That's your test.